Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Digital Marketing Breakthrough. Whether you're a small business owner curious about modern marketing or a creative person looking to start or help businesses, these are the thoughts, techniques, and experiments to keep your knowledge base growing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Phil Metzger. I own a digital and video marketing company, and my curiosity takes me anywhere related to success in that area. In this episode, we are going to go over some apps that I use. Is it worth it for you and your time or not? This could easily turn into a potential segment or, to be honest with you, a theme that runs out through the entire podcast. But what we're going to do is, kind of give a breakdown of an app or something potentially useful, then think about who it might be for and why you might want to start thinking about spending that time or money looking into it further. So let me know what you actually might want to hear about. The best way to get a hold of me is at Big Builder Brands on Instagram. I have the Facebook group, and we'll definitely be aiming more towards YouTube as this progresses. I'd like to do a few more things, which I might get into later, but I think YouTube and Instagram are going to kind of be my hubs. Now with the streaming options pretty limited for Instagram Live, I will be doing some Facebook, so who knows what direction this will go, but we really wanted to start with this podcast. But either way, welcome. And before we really get started, I wanted to first thank Fat Kid Official, Lewis over at Fat Kid, for making me this hat. I absolutely love hats. That is definitely one way you can get nearer and dearer to my heart is by giving me hats. But it stands for Pray, Hope, and Teach, the Fat and Fat Kids, and he does a lot of giving back to within his community and donates a lot of the proceeds and sale of certain designs back to the community. So check that out. Thank you for the hat, Lewis. I appreciate that. We actually have gotten approved by Apple and Google Play. So the first 2 episodes of the Digital Marketing Breakthrough are up and running. We are still waiting on Spotify. Side note about Spotify, you have to have at least 5 episodes before they will release your show. Yeah, so actually, let's take a quick detour down podcasting. We'll call it a 3-minute detour. There's a new segment, too. So Spotify requires 5 episodes. Now, the platform I am using to put the podcast out there to all the different platforms, I'm currently using Podbean. I had previously used Libsyn, and the reason for a separate show, and the reason I decided to go with Podbean this time was that it was more highly recommended, and it had the ability to advertise on most of the major podcast platforms. So if I wanted to inject a commercial somewhere down the line where for a podcast or my business having to do with marketing, creativity, and small business, that's I think a really good idea for a podcast people might want to listen to, for learning and help and, just kind of that side conversation of how you can be improving. So I'm excited about using Podbean. I can do a separate podcast on that. If you all say that I would like to learn how the podcast process works, I can show you from beginning to end, from general microphones to where you want to list it to album art and how to create all that. I'd be glad to break it down for you all. Just let me know. And as I said, I will probably be most responsive on Instagram. So before we get into the apps and programs I use, I just kind of wanted to let you guys in on exactly kind of what I'm going through and what I'm excited about. These are truly unique times. We were coasting there as a country and for, many years, and life became very normal. And with the recent events with COVID, things are changing as far as video and marketing and creativity across the world. The way business is going to be done. Again, I know I'm stating this every episode, but if you are someone that's hungry right now and are interested in one of these 3 things, I really think that this podcast will be able to help you, and I want you to be able to reach out and ask me and have this conversation. That's exactly what I want this to be, is a dialogue about what's next and what we can possibly be doing to get ready for this as small business owners, especially because when you talk about the backbone of everything, creativity is wonderful. Marketing is something that, as I'll explain later, can be a numbers game, but it's really an effort to just put yourself out there. But without that small business, if this is something that's your livelihood, this is something that I also take very seriously. It's not just kind of a nerdy curiosity. I mean, my well-being is on the line as well, so um, I really I have a feeling that I'm going to continue. I hope to continue the same type people that are extremely hungry, that are not looking for excuses or something small they can throw their money at to say that they tried something, which I feel like a lot of marketing has been in the past. But these people that are saying, I still have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years left in my work life, and I want to take control of this. That's the type of people that I want. And I think if you have, especially curiosity in two of those three areas, then I think you're going to do fine, and you really have a chance at succeeding in whatever this new digital time, this new digital period that is getting ready to occur for us is. Excuse me, allergy season as well. But when it comes down to my specific business, I travel to New York, or to Kentucky from New York on a monthly basis. During the winter, that was spaced out every like 6 weeks, but sometimes in the summer it's every even 3 to 4 weeks. But my main client is a paving company down there. Now, what is going to happen to my business? So, what we're talking about in this show, what I've studied, that's exactly how I am going to have to operate my life and learn these new ways of doing things and communicating, because if I can't go there and get footage, I basically have a couple options. One is to hire a videographer to shoot all the work and then send it to me and I can edit it in New York. And the second one is to basically try to learn how to produce remotely. Now, there's a lot of technologies out there that I'm looking into. There's Switcher Studio, which you can produce a live show. Then you have your classics like Ecamm and OBS, and these are all platforms to where basically if you give it a microphone and a video signal, they will be able to put it out there. It's basically just Zoom, and maybe mix in if you're from more of a traditional background, maybe Zoom and PowerPoint or something like that. You can do things like you see on live television shows, like put scrolling bottom lines and titles and insert videos and all kinds of cool stuff. And I think that is definitely going to have a place. But before this happened was exactly where the tipping point was kind of already at for that industry. I mean, I think the people that were most ahead of the game on this were people playing video games that were live streaming their game and their video and commentary and talking with other people in different locations. I mean, that takes an incredible, not necessarily an incredible amount of knowledge, but a lot of focused, intent learning on how to make that happen, because that requires a lot of internet speed and bandwidth and knowing your gear and investment in gear. So, it's interesting that video games is kind of who's leading the way, or who's currently kind of got this thing down. And now I think a lot of people are going to try to catch up. And at the end here, I'll let you know about a really cool remote production software that I don't know, I'm looking into, and we'll see where that goes. All right, let's see if I can pull myself back here to my notes. I do feel very prepared for all this, and this is what I've been training for. As I said, I'm super excited, but it's also my company and business is on the line. If I cannot, go travel to where I need to go to film, I'm really gonna have to shift some things around. And I know there are people out there in a lot worse position than me, and better. But either way, let's figure this out together, and let's go. So when it comes to the remote production, I think things and topics like how to podcast, what mics to use, what could set you apart. I love learning about people's businesses, and it's pretty easy to see which business people and creatives like what they do and which don't. I love the people that are approaching me, so hungry to take creative control of what they do for a living and to teach their audience. And all right, I'll tell you what, I will come back to, I was going to do my video marketing world summit at the beginning, but I will come back to that at the end. Let's go ahead and get into the apps that I use pretty much on a daily, if not weekly basis at the least. I have people of all levels on here that are listening, so some of these might be a little bit more relevant to others. But these are the ones I use most often. And I really don't want to go through my equipment list right now. I think this would be more things that are for the more 80% of the listeners rather than like the techie 10%. But real quickly, I will say that I use for filming a Panasonic GH5S with Sigma lenses or my phone, whichever fits the situation. I have a variety of microphones that I typically route into the Zoom H6n, and then I edit on a Mac Mini. So I can dive into the nerddom or the connections there in another episode if you all want. Just ask me at Big Builder Brands on Instagram. But the programs that I pretty much use, I can say confidently on a daily or every other day basis. Google Keep, first of all. It's an app, and you can also get it as a desktop extension. But I find it's a better way to organize notes than just traditional note apps. They have features like checkboxes, and you can add attachments and label them different colors and also pin them to the top so, the ones that are most on your mind are there. Now, I have like 1,000 notes, then, I will never see 990 of them again. But it is nice because you can just drag and drop things back up to the top, and it's just very intuitive but still simple. And when it comes to video editing, I use DaVinci Resolve almost exclusively. Now, DaVinci Resolve is actually a color grading platform, or that's what I believe it was initially designed for. I want to say they've been around for quite some time. I didn't do my background research on their business, but I do know that they have integrated almost completely to an all-in-one editing platform, which is pretty impressive because they're in the conversation now with DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro, and it's a great program. I will say that for beginners, it's not extremely user-friendly. I mean, none of these are. I think Premiere Pro seems to be the front runner when it comes to ease of use and kind of tutorials, but doesn't seem to be a whole lot of custom support when it comes to when you have problems or not, but it's probably the most popular now. I want to thank Andrew Robinson for showing me DaVinci Resolve too, but anyways, you can use it to edit, do motion graphics, do audio, and still they've got that top-notch color grading, and it is a little bit slower than the other programs, and check into it before, any of these are expensive programs. I think DaVinci is relatively cheap actually at $300, but and they do give you free upgrades with every version, so, and their support is great. But a lot of these programs are a big step for people, and Premiere Pro kind of has that entry-level monthly subscription that you can do, and that kind of gives you an entryway to see if you even use it or not. I do actually use, sorry about that, but I do actually use After Effects, which is one of the Adobe products. I found that just doing motion graphics in there is much easier than doing it in DaVinci Resolve. For sound, I use Logic Pro. My background's in audio engineering. It is just kind of the industry standard for the create and capture all-in-one platform. There's Pro Tools and some other programs that are better for certain things. And with audio, really, you don't need a ton of functionality just for basic correction or even professional correction. I'm not doing a whole lot of mixing and mastering music, although I love to. So it's not exactly a big deal which audio platform you use, as long as you have just some of those basic tools if you want to present yourself as a professional audio video marketing company. Epidemic Sound is a really, really cool site, and I was excited when I had heard that music for commercial and filmmakers was now becoming more accessible, and this is a resource where you can have a monthly subscription and essentially download and use as many songs and sound effects as you like or need. So I mean, it's really a game changer when you don't have to create your own music. And I just was never one that was, I felt like stealing other people's art or original work was something that just wasn't for me. I know people use a lot of other famous songs in their videos, and it's not legal, and they're probably never going to get found. Or the only thing that's really wrong with it is if you're using it for profit or your own profit or gain without their permission. It can be a creative work, but for me, it was always just something that was against what I believed in. So this is great. It's a new way for artists to put their work out there. I'm sure they get a small percentage every time their music or work is downloaded. So I think it's great. One of my favorite rap artists right now, HD Ben Dope, HDBEENDOPE, all one word. I actually found him on Epidemic Sound, and I've used 3 of his songs for background music for some of my videos. So Epidemic Sound, they have different levels, one for personal use, another for commercial use. So if you just want to mess around with that, I highly recommend it. That's epidemicsound.com. On the video front, as far as motion graphics or stock video, there is a similar site. The way it's run is similar to Epidemic Sound, but it's called Motion Array, and they excuse me, they offer the same thing. They do offer sound and music, but the main thing I think they're known for is their templates. So for programs like Premiere Pro, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, and I think there's 1 or 2 more, you can search their file database for, like, if I need fireworks, like fireworks that I can just randomly insert in a scene or something like that. You can type that in and you can find those motion graphics, or you can also find like green screen backgrounds. And also B-roll video. Excuse me, I'm not a big fan of B-roll, or stock video, but if it's almost like a satire or you're being very exaggerated about something, you can usually find something there too, and have fun with that. I actually have a company called Phelps Property Maintenance that they basically hire me to make almost like Geico commercials, and it's just completely random, off the wall, and it's a unique break in my week, and I really like doing that for them. So shout out to them, Phelps Property Maintenance. Give them a look up. But so Motion Array, that kind of wraps that up. Same type deal as far as subscription. Before this, it was very, very expensive. Like, they would have these motion graphics and like the fireworks, and sell them individually. So the fireworks would be $30, $70, depending on how complicated the scene was. Hundreds, thousands of dollars. And this is really nice that Motion Array, they are starting to get some really quality work put up there. And especially for DaVinci Resolve, I don't think there's another site out there that's quite as comprehensive as them. So shout out to Motion Array, and love your product, and we'll continue to do so. If you'd like to throw some sponsorship dollars my way, we can say that every episode. I am trying HootSuite right now. Actually, first Hashtastic. Hashtags was something that I really didn't understand. I didn't want to understand, but I guess as of about a year ago, I realized I had to understand, because if you're just going to type in hashtag and a word, and that could possibly get you more viewers, more eyes, and potentially even the right viewers and right eyes for little to no cost, I needed to look into it. So this is I used hashtag IQ before this, and another program that is not coming to mind, but Hashtastic is different, and it's awesome. It's basically only relevant for Instagram, and here's why. Hashtags are only really relevant on Instagram. You see people using them on Facebook. If you see people using a lot of hashtags on Facebook, it's probably an Instagram post. But first, why Instagram, and then why it doesn't work on other programs. On Instagram, you can follow actual hashtags, and it seems that they actually encourage the use of up to 30 hashtags, and it doesn't hurt you one bit if you use all 30 spots. If the bottom of your post is nothing but blue hashtags, or whatever color it is, blue or black, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to hurt you that you're wasting people's time by listing 30 hashtags. So with what this tool does is you can search, just say, what did we search? Okay, so I was working with 1791 Nation, which is a company founded by a clothing brand founded for first responders by a first responder, and we were searching healthcare heroes, and so we could type in healthcare worker, EMT, first responder. We could just type in first responder and then hit submit, and you can organize the information in different ways, but basically it gives you a list of how many hashtags that are similar to that one that are getting a lot of traction right now. And it's not just people, actively searching for that hashtag. It's Instagram understanding that the people that are looking at this hashtag look at a different one, and it keeps them on Instagram. So it's really a useful tool. It's because it'll pop up in people's feed, and it kind of puts you in a community of like-minded hashtags. So you can save different groups and all that stuff. But the one thing I do need to say about hashtags on Instagram is that you do not want to continue using the same sets of hashtags. For ADC, the paving company, I noticed that sometimes the third and sometimes even the second time using a very similar set of hashtags, like 2 posts in a row, the results would be so different. But to show you kind of the power, there was on the second most recent, the most recent post today, which is pretty awesome. You should check out at ADC Paving on Instagram because we're doing a really cool thing with 75 Hard. It's a workout program. Anyways, before that one, the previous post had 1,700 views essentially, and 1,200 of them were from hashtags, meaning that these people weren't going to see the post if it didn't have that particular hashtag in it. So it's really can be a useful tool. But then, I look 4 posts back, and there was 9 of 900 essentially, which is, 1% of the views came from hashtags. So you can't get caught up in these things. And let me go off on that in a second. Let me finish this off. But we're trying HootSuite with 1791 Nation, that clothing brand, and what HootSuite does is it basically organizes all of your social media feeds in one screen, and you can it just makes it a little bit easier to kind of copy and paste. I don't like cross posting because if I tag, well, there we go, Fat Kid hat. If we tag Fat Kid on Instagram, if they have a different handle on Facebook, and sometimes even if they have the same handle, and you post to both networks, it will not tag them on that separate network. So, HootSuite, it's good. I'm not sure it's worth the money, but I will definitely be getting back to you on that because it is nice to have it all in one place. But, why couldn't I just copy and paste and then go in and retag, using any program rather than pay money for it? So, more on that. But back to kind of the hashtags thing. This is a tool, and it can work great, but you cannot drive yourself crazy over what's working and what's not. The metrics and what you need to pay attention to are 2 very different things. You really should be looking at the community engagement, and if you even get just one person that has something genuine to say or they reach out to you because of it, and it will always be there to represent you. If you put out something that's quality, someone will go back and look if you continue to, pursue and grow and do it through an online community. So it's really about the progress you feel like you're making as far as an actual impact based on, honestly, a feeling over those stats, because those stats will absolutely drive you crazy. Sometimes there's absolutely no reason why something performs better than others. Now, depending on when you post in the day on different platforms, that is one thing. The shelf life of how much a post has. You do want to make sure you put on Instagram the most. And I'm going to leave out Twitter just because I'm just now really starting to dig into Twitter. But as far as Facebook or Instagram goes, you want to put it out in the right time of the day. Facebook has a little bit longer of life. It might get caught a day or two or three later. And LinkedIn is really, really, crazy as far as that goes. We've had posts and different links to articles and videos and photos that might only get a like or two in the first 3 days, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later someone will see it on their feed again and they'll like it and run with it, and all of a sudden it's got 29, 30, 40 likes, comments, views, whatever. So I don't like it when marketing companies base a lot of numbers, base a lot of their performance on numbers. Now, obviously, growth. You want that to be able to see them actually have a financial growth and expanding and growing in those directions and towards their goals. That's what's important. So there do have to be some numbers there, but as far as just following the metrics and working with people that need constant numbers as verification, that's something that I don't enjoy as much, but I have to say I'm getting into. And a lot of that is because I primarily work with service-based businesses, which means they're looking for the phone to ring. They're not trying to have an online sales funnel for social media. It's they want to have those comments and have that community feel, but really their funnel's a different thing, and they visual branding and presence. Other things, what I'm curious about, how to live stream, we kind of went over that. There is a program out called OpenReel that I am pretty excited to learn about, and this is from a production standpoint. And what it is essentially Zoom, and everyone can see you, but then it gives control to, like, if I was trying to direct you through giving a 30-second talk to your company. I don't know, you have a big company and it's a message going out to everyone. And we could make sure that you have the right camera set up. We could check to make sure all the connections work. We see the video feed and the audio levels from my end. I can see this for you. And then I can also run, theoretically, haven't tried this yet, but you could run a teleprompter on the screen. And so I could actually sit there and coach you through you trying to get through this 30-second video. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then, what's going to emerge right now. It's an electric type atmosphere amongst people that are in this industry, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And now I kind of want to get back to this video marketing summit that I'm getting ready to attend. I was so bummed because we were going to go down to Texas this weekend. We were going to go down to Dallas and then Austin, my fiance and I was going to go for this conference, and she was just going to go to relax. She is slammed right now, and it was a one weekend break, an opportunity. But this video marketing conference was so exciting, but they decided to put it on YouTube. And first of all, I want to give a shout out to Amanda Horvath, because she was the one that actually brought this to my attention. And more about Amanda here in a second. But I think if you like any of these speakers or topics, then hopefully you like this podcast and we can chat, because it's what I'm really into. But first of all, it starts with an interview with Mark Cuban on where you should focus your time as an entrepreneur right now, which is exciting. I love watching and listening to Mark Cuban. I love Shark Tank. But even his interviews on the economy and how he handled the basketball team and what kind of to expect in the near future. I cannot wait for that interview. But here are some of the topics over this 3-day, 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern time, 3-day conference. How to build your unique LinkedIn brand and video content. How simple personal videos improve your customer experience. How top YouTubers accelerate their YouTube growth. How to make better money, stay relevant, and ditch the evil algorithm. No, that's what I'm saying there. Facebook ads training to explore your revenue. Why TikTok? Watch this. How to SEO your YouTube videos for Google traffic. How to explore your local business with YouTube. Sponsorship secrets, blah, 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 blah. A ton of good talks, and I've seen a lot of these people on high-dollar conferences and panels, so I'm excited because they know this is a different time, and this is probably going to be their first opportunity. So I guess I'm giving an official plug to Video Marketing World, and yeah, check it out. I think it's still $197 for the 3-day online virtual ticket, so check it out. Yeah. So yeah, anyways, Amanda Horvath, she runs a great program called the DIY Video Roadmap. And I can't recall if it was a YouTube video or I heard her on another podcast on how I found her, but either way, one led immediately to the other after that. And I actually took the DIY Video Roadmap course from her, and it was kind of aimed at people that I think didn't quite understand how the physical video setup worked. Amanda did a great job going through step by step through this course of how to get started, what to talk about, how to script, how to present yourself, batch shooting, just a lot of not only things that are required to just physically put the video out there, but mentalities and tactics to where you can get it done and get the ball rolling, get you represented, online through video. So it was a great course. It was definitely a brush up for me, but honestly, when going back and learning with all the new little tips that I learned, and even my light setup, the next light setup that I had just bought like 6 weeks ago, they didn't have the actual ones that Amanda recommended that were in, but I would not have gone that way, and I'm very, very happy with the purchase decision that I made. So thanks, Amanda. Your course was great. And on that note, we were going to actually meet up in Texas this weekend, so that's a bummer that we didn't get to do that. But you need to check out Amanda Horvath. That's AH Visions, I believe, on most platforms, but if you type in her name, she will come up. So I guess we will go ahead and begin to wrap here. You will now be able to find this on most major platforms. As I said, the YouTube channel will be my focus for the video versions. I will release all these on Facebook. I am looking to go live with some guests at some point. Maybe some of the people I mentioned in this episode. That'd be great. And I also want to be able to answer a lot of your questions and kind of do some tutorials. There's some certain aspects of film and especially audio that I get asked a lot, so I believe I'm going to start doing tutorials here soon. But first thing is first, I really enjoyed the podcast platform when I was trying to kind of get everything started. I probably listened to about 6 to 8 years worth of podcasts before I actually decided to start my own business. And that was 5 years ago, I think. So, man, podcasts have been around that long. Anyways, I want to bring this to you as a resource, something hopefully weekly that you can use to get the brain going, to think of things differently, and to see how it can be properly executed, and maybe use some teamwork from other people out there. So, I am Phil Metzger. This is the Digital Marketing Breakthrough, brought to you by Big Builder Brands. Find more of my work and thoughts. Check out the ever-updated bigbuilderbrands.com. Find me on Instagram at bigbuilderbrands. You can join the Facebook group, the Digital Marketing Broadcast, which is also under the Big Builder Brands company page. Subscribe to YouTube, and that's the Big Builder Brands Network, and get notified on the latest videos. That's where I will be most of the time. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.